All right. That was a fabulous hang with Matthew Lesko.
Yeah, and Greg and I, when we first talked about it, there was all kinds of weird, anticipation and anxiety that came up because we weren't quite sure who we were going to be dealing with, because he's a powerful presence. If you've seen him in any of his marketing or any of his advertising or any of that, there's a fierceness to him that's just amazing. But the actual experience of him is that he's such a loving, articulate, insightful, wise, fun, happy person to hang out with, and it was such an easeful conversation, and there's a lot of value in it. If you're looking for ways to help your life, if you're struggling at all, you definitely got to stick around for the last half or last third of this show, because he reveals some really powerful resources. Greg and I both just were like, when we saw him. And if you're listening to the podcast, you're going to hear descriptions of websites. And so be ready to open your web browser, but you won't get to see like the visual audience. You won't get to see the websites when we put them up. And, that's just the way it goes. And we're getting closer with our Adrenochrome Cola sponsors. They're starting to look like they might be ready to actually work with us a little more closely. We've been holding out for certain standards. It's going to be a refreshingly elite program when it launches, so stick around for that. Definitely subscribe. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Just one more thing. Also, I'd say Matthew, being in his 80s, was very inspirational of how alive an individual could be.
For sure. If you're dreading getting old, you don't have to.
Dread no more, my friend.
And that's what Moped Outlaws rides are all about. Liberating your spirit, get the wind through your hair, let go of the psychological manipulation the machine is trying to impress you with. And remember, you're a beautiful human being just the way you are. Enjoy the show.
Say some no?
11.
Bestuursdichter wegen dem.
Yo je iets niet, joh.
Two outlaws on the lam, taking the back roads through America.
You can't drink enough coffee for this show.
And now it's time for Monday Madness with the Moped Outlaws, Greg and Mark.
Welcome to another episode of Moped Outlaws. Today, our guest is Matthew Lesko. Matthew and Greg and I are set to have an incredible discussion about money and government spending and goodness knows who all else or what all else we're going to talk about. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you. What, a moped? You guys ride mopeds? Is that why or what?
The story behind that is we picked a name for our podcast that has nothing to do with our life. We don't have mopeds. We're not outlaws.
Why didn't you call
Speak
it
for yourself. I'm an outlaw.
There is a story behind it, but we've told the story a few times. We'll tell it to you. It involves hallucinogenics, the police, all sorts of fun stuff.
I see. Well, that sounds like a good movie.
Hey, I have a question for you, because seeing a bit of you and what little preparation I did, you are a very colorful character. And I was wondering at what point in your life, like what was behind you deciding, hey, this is who I'm going to be?
After I failed at everything else.
Is that part of it?
Absolutely. You go through school. I went in the Navy, and, during Vietnam, and got out, got an MBA, started businesses. They failed at an MBA in computers. I had a software company that failed. And then, God, I said, geez, I'm doing everything like people told me to do. I'm not having fun doing it, and I'm failing. So this sounds like a stupid way to live. That maybe I'm going to have fun in 30 years, so I'm going to be miserable for 30 years to maybe have fun. That's not a guarantee. So I said, you got to flip that. And I said, you got to have fun today. because you can't count on that tomorrow. And then, the colorfulness, then it found out that if everything I was been told that would be successful didn't work for me. So then I started realizing I have to listen to my heart. It's what's weird about you is probably the best thing you have. And in a market or in a personal relationship or anything, I think that if you expand that, see, we're all trying to we see somebody else successful. Oh, I'll copy that and be successful. No, you're not going to do that as well as that person. And so you have to find out what is unique about you and then blow that up. So, I love making an ass on myself. I do that. I was kicked out of a lot of classes in high school and everything, and just being a smart ass. And that, when I dug back into that, that's when things started happening, because then that's authentic, and I think for all of us. But then you have something special to give. If you're trying to give what everybody else could get, a dime a dozen, then that's not an interesting, contribution to society, is it? And you don't need, like now, especially on the internet, you don't need 1 million customers for anything. When I sold books, you had to make a book that appealed to mass market, because that's where you sold. So to be in Walmart, everybody and his brother had to relate to it. So you couldn't be weird. But now I don't need 1 million people. A couple thousand is all I need, and I'm happy. So, and the rest of my life is like that. Every time I get off course, I say that, and now I have the phrase is, your heart is smarter than your brain. We want to use our brain because we're taught that and everything, but nah. Anything in life you're going to do is fucking hard.
So you better enjoy it.
Exactly. So, and if you don't, man, then you're going to give up. You're going, I'm not going to do this. I'll be a real estate investor. So, you'll find another way that's easy, you think, and it won't be. And you'll just be popping around at things until you find something that is really inside of you that you really want to figure out. Because I think starting a business, starting anything, look at all the idiots that are making a lot of money doing shit. So it doesn't take a mental genius, to do anything in this country. It's just hanging in there long enough till you figure it out. And so if you think you'll be a millionaire by next Thursday and it doesn't happen, fuck it, I'm going to do something else. Yeah.
Well, we've stuck with this podcast we're going on our 5th season, and we love hanging out and talking to people and just being ourselves. So we're in the right place. Right. And hopefully the money gods will begin to shine on us, because we've got things we want to do with that money, including we have a couple of buying mopeds. Well, we'd love to be moped riders and do our show and related to mopeds, but so far the economics of that aren't working for us yet. Yeah. So that's fabulous. I love the way you framed that and the spirit behind that. And what's something that you look forward to that you haven't really applied yourself to yet?
Wow. At 81, just fucking being above ground. The bar is pretty low.
I woke up. I'm good.
Right, exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
And I'm having a better time in my life now than ever.
And is it?
Go ahead.
Is it true that one of the most pivotal things you're known for in the last 10 years is that you help people create wealth for themselves?
Yes, and show people about government programs that could help you. And I started this I got an MBA, and I was a consultant to Fortune 500 companies, and I was doing research for them, market research and stuff like that. And I was in Washington, D.C., and they'd want to start a company or buy a company or a market they want to get in. And I do the market studies and the competitive analysis, and I was getting all this information from the government. The government had anything, and this is before the internet, so this is back in the 70s. And I'd show them money to buy it, and Procter & Gamble want to start a chain of pasta stores. So I'd be able to find somebody in the government who is an expert in the pasta industry. And I go down and make an appointment to see him, and he give me all these free studies that they did, and I take his name off of it and put my name on it, and sell it to Procter & Gamble. See, nothing in the government is copyrighted. So you can take anything in the government. My first New York Times bestseller was a book I plagiarized the whole goddamn thing from the government printing office book. It's called The Catalog of Federal Domestic Assistance. I just changed the headlines and sent it to Penguin Viking. They published it. I go out and act like an idiot on TV and became a New York Times bestseller and didn't write a lick. And I flunked English in college. That was the best part. So I tried to call that English teacher.
And now Elon Musk is trying to destroy all of that.
Right. Well, I think his motive is because he wants more of it.
That was kind of tongue in cheek, really. But it is true that government, there's so many weird things that the government produces, right? Like if I wanted to go write a book about penguin mating season, I could probably find a government document to do exactly what you said, right? Or shuffleboard, naked shuffleboard strategies, right? Like,
oh, I did that one.
All right, another bestseller.
It was a slippery wicket.
No, it's true, but there's so many people hurting in this country now. This is why I feel obligated to do it. We have what's amazing in our country now. We're the richest country in the world. We have more millionaires than anybody, but we're also have the highest people in poverty. There's more people in poverty in the United States than any other developed country. This is the percentage of people in poverty. The United States is 17% in poverty. Now, this is just the developed countries, so we don't have Africa or whatever. So the average for developed countries is about 10%. We're 17, so we're number one. We're number one in creating poverty.
It's interesting that Israel's second.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. And then Turkey.
Yeah.
So how would
Mexico?
How do we take this podcast to the point where Greg and I can just do the podcast and not have to do anything else?
You got great income. Where the hell are you getting income from this?
From Starbucks.
Yeah. We spent our annual budget in the first 3 days of operation this year.
So there's a couple of things. I mean, what I would do, first of all, see, if you go to SBA.gov, now you don't want to contact the SBA, but they have a database there. And it's SBA.gov, then /local-assistance. And if you go to that website, SBA.gov/local-assistance, and put in your zip code, and where are you guys at?
We're in Northern California near SF.
Okay. So you'll find probably a half a dozen, a 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen nonprofit organizations that grant money to help you figure out your idea on how to make money out of this podcast. That's what they do. I mean, I'd be going to these places for my Fortune 500 companies. They were too lazy to do it. Rich people pay for anything. Right? I charge them thousands of dollars to get all this free information and mark it up like hell.
All right. Well, Greg and I know what our next business meeting is going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I mean, they help you with anything. It's also, when the podcasting is so hot of a topic now, and even something like Podmax Match, right? Is that what you guys are on? That's what I'm on. That's where we found each other. I mean, that's over $6 a month for marketing. Wow. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. That's cool. Where else are you going to do that?
You get to meet a lot of really interesting and unusual people, for sure.
But it's all about creating income. What do you have of value that people would pay for? And that's why they could help you think through that.
So in this case, sarcasm and deep insight.
Right.
That's our ingredient. I'm wondering, Matthew, I checked into a few streams that you were doing, and I saw that your brand also was giving out loans. Like I saw a woman who had received, I guess, a competition of some sort, and she was receiving a car payment.
Yeah. Yeah, I just started this about 3 years ago or so. After people didn't buy reference books anymore, that's what I was really in the business of. Yeah. How am I going to sell this stuff? So I started a little, like a newsletter or something, and that turned into community. And it grew like I couldn't believe. And now we have about 15,000 people that just help each other do this. They don't even need me.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Do you find that a lot of people are looking like that I'm a millionaire next Thursday fix instead of really wanting to do the work of increasing?
I fight that every day. Yeah.
That's
and that's the hard thing. We all want a quick fix and everything. And shit, it took you years to get into this trouble. You think they want to push a button and be out of it.
Maybe that could be your first statement is, look, you worked really hard for your poverty. It's going to take the same work to get out of it.
But the grants, yes. But all of a sudden, actually, during the COVID, the government gave my business like $20,000 or something like that. I didn't need it. Why are they giving me money? And so I decided to give it to my members because most of my members are struggling. We only charge $20, and that's what I used to charge $20,000 to people to get this information, but they didn't need it. It's not fun helping people who don't really need you. So I wanted to be able to do it for $20 because they're the people who really need it, and we became very profitable very easily. It just shocked me. So that's what we do with our profits. We give it back to members. So every month we give out like anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000. I mean, I thought you had to be Jeff Bezos or his ex-wife to do something like that. And no, a little schmuck like me from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, could do it too. And that's very gratifying. But it's funny how people are scamming us. They scam us that they're winners and they really aren't. And it's becoming an overhead issue.
It's like a national sport.
Exactly. That's right.
That's crazy. So you have a team to help vet?
Yeah. We have a team. I mean, I don't have an office. Everybody's virtual. I have somebody working with me maybe 20 years. I haven't seen in 5-10 years. The best employees are the ones you never see.
Yeah, that is the age we live in.
So one of the things I noticed about your marketing for the services that you offer in this club was that I saw it on social media. What kind of social media advertising investment have you made over the years? Like, what's your yearly advertising budget?
Well, now it's nothing that I know of. Well, maybe every once in a while we put our toe into it. The way I learned about marketing is I never had money to market. And so even in the beginning, years ago, then I said, well, and I'd buy ads like in the Wall Street Journal. This was back in the 70s. I'd buy a little 1-inch ad or something like that because I was helping businesses get information. And I just get stupid stuff in the mail. People writing in on napkins what they need. Nothing really legit. And so I said, God, if I got somebody to write me up, about what I'm doing instead of buying a cheap little ad, not only do I get somebody with their arm around me who's legit, and talking about it. And I said, hey, that's the way to do it. And then even then I was a professional guest on talk shows because back then, there were 4 or 5 talk shows in every city. There's a Good Morning Altoona, Pennsylvania, a Good Afternoon Altoona, Pennsylvania. 5 radio shows doing talk shows. So I go city to city and do 50 cities. And do like 6, 7, 8 shows a city, go to the next city and get all this free stuff. And then I said, well, I figured out how to do that. Then I started doing my own infomercials. And then even that, I never bought time. I'd buy time in the beginning and it wouldn't work because the value of that ad for them is different than for you. So you got to find out what the ad is value for you. So what I was doing, then I say, okay, I don't know what it's worth and I don't have a lot of money. So if nobody buys that time, give it to me and I'll give you half the money. Because I was able to see where all my orders came from. So I give them half the money. I mean, if your book is in a store, you give them half the money. That's what a store gets out of it. So I said, you're going to sell it, bring me a customer, I'll give you half the money. And that's how I really, because a lot of dead time. That's why you saw me a lot, me right after a Smokey the Bear commercial or something, in the middle of the night.
And what was the method that you accessed those vast network of local TV station advertising opportunities?
There's a directory for everything, especially now, with the internet. That's it's all pounding away. There's no shortcut to anything. You got to make 100 calls or you go and Google and spend a couple months getting nothing there. Or, you get a list of potentials and you just bang away. There's no shortcut. And then, that got very big for me. Then I was able to buy it because I knew what really sold and what it's worth to me. So I was able to buy commercials. Now I rarely do. And on the internet.
At the advent of the social media sort of uptick in the middle of the 2000s,
right,
there was a point at which you might have gone like all in or at a higher level of buy. And what was your strategy and how did that work?
Well, it never was how much I'm going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
It's how much, how to use social media. I mean, it is, to me, social media is incredible. I mean, when I grew up, if you want to have a business like a store or something like that, it cost you about $1,000 to have a store, right? Now, for $20, you have a store on Etsy. So now you have all these social media is marketing. I mean, that's what it is. So I do.
So, for instance, we have a store with we have our stuff on the store, but we get 0 sales a month.
Right.
So what are we doing wrong?
Nobody's coming there, right?
Right.
All right. So you don't know what really is going to work. You try a whole bunch of shit, and all the experts, they say that's going to work, and that's fine, but they're going to ask you for money, and you don't know it works anyway. So you can't give them money you don't know work. You start doing anything. Okay, if you have, what's a hook that you could have? You have followers, and be on every platform. You don't know what platform is going to work for you. And that's why you do everything. You cut this down and, do a 1 minute, 2 minute kind of things.
We're doing that. That'll happen with this for sure. What we aren't including is a link to the Etsy store every time we put something out there. So maybe we should try that, huh, Greg?
Oh, absolutely. Why else are you doing it?
Well, and one of the reasons we want this is not just for ourselves. We've picked 2 charities that we're really passionate about, and we want to be able to provide revenue like you've built, right? Like there's a point at which we'd like to give more to get more, right? That's really a great model, I think. Well, enough about us. Thank you for that. That's inspiring for sure. And I recently bought some more colored shirts because black's been a bad habit for a while for me. So I'm going to break out of that. But what do you want from your life now? Like aside from just getting up in the morning?
Loving. I really just in the last couple of years. I don't know about you guys, but so we're different generations. But I grew up. You never even said the word love. I mean, I don't remember anybody in my house saying it. We liked each other and we were nice people, but it didn't. And now, especially as you get older, I mean, especially guys, I think in our society, you concentrate on being stronger, faster, smarter, and all. At 80, none of that shit's going to get better. So no matter how much I work on that ain't going anywhere. But I feel one thing I can do better is love. I can love better. Yeah, and that opens your heart. When I just say the word, because it was a word I never used. I thought I had to marry you if I said that.
Right. And like you said, the heart is smarter than the mind.
Right, exactly. So how do you open that heart? Because that makes everything in life a lot easier somehow. And you have to fight it because you got assholes all around it.
Let me ask you, because you alluded earlier that in the realm of wealth, work is involved. It's not going to happen overnight.
Oh, absolutely.
So with this choice of love, have you found that it is a moment to moment practice to keep opening your heart?
Oh, absolutely. You have to, because like say that our society doesn't encourage it. Somebody's going to piss you off, and all this stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of assholes out
Especially
there.
if you're driving.
Right. So it's really hard to do that. Yeah, and community. I mean, I had no friends for a long. I mean, I liked people and was always around people. But personally, my wife had all the friends, and she'd drag me to parties. I hated going, but I was happy when I went and enjoyed it all. And now we moved down an apartment in Washington, D.C. We have about 70 people in the building, and I throw a party every 2 months at least.
Oh, wow.
I had 3 rock and roll bands out in the driveway of our apartment building, and just to be close to people. And I just smoking and loneliness are the 2 things that will make your life longer if you solve those problems.
Got it. So not smoking and having lots of community will give you a longer life.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you find that interacting, like making a conscious choice to build community, moved you out of your comfort zone? Did you have to be almost like a muscle workout? You had to I'm doing this.
Right. Oh, definitely. But it's a little easier now at 80. You at 40 or 50, you still have a lot of demons you're working on. And so at 80, it's a little easier, I think.
What would you say to your 40-year-old self that may have helped them to do it regardless of the demons?
Yeah. Just do it. Try it. It's sort of surprise. I mean, the only thing I think that stops any of us from doing anything is us. Nobody's out there. Everybody's not out there. Oh, we're going to see how we can fuck up Greg today. But that's what we think, right?
Right. Yep.
So nobody's really spending any time on Greg,
except for Greg, and he's a mess.
Greg, and he knows he's not.
Getting out of our own way, just
right, exactly. That's what stops us. Just do it. Look, and that used to stop me a lot because I couldn't think of an idea good enough. I couldn't think of a product good enough or anything like that. And then I looked around. All the stuff I buy is really shit. It's not perfect. And I think I have to have my product. No, nobody buys perfect. They can't afford it.
No,
they buy what they want. They buy desire. They buy their heart.
Exactly.
Right? Their aspiration.
Right.
I think you just clipped on another important element to success is we think we need to get it perfect before we present it to the world.
Right. Yeah. I think the nuns did that to me.
Oh, so you were a Catholic school boy.
Yeah. I actually flunked out of Jesuit prep school too.
Wow. I can't imagine your colorful character being in the church environment.
No, it was the Jesuits that got me out of Catholicism. The first people that made me think.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
All right.
So what was the distinction between Catholicism and the Jesuit order?
Oh, it's a part of the Jesuits, but they're sort of classier bunch of intellectuals or something. They're big in liberation theology and stuff like that. Yeah.
And would you say God has taken a different shape with you now in your life? Like the Christian metaphor doesn't necessarily hold water for you anymore, and that it's broader and bigger?
Yeah, no, I don't think about it at all. I mean, I went to catechism classes, we indoctrination stuff as a kid. You just memorize shit. I didn't know anything.
So does that mean you've kind of eschewed a spiritual religion totally?
Yeah, well, I never thought about it intellectually. It just was natural. What am I doing this for?
Joy seems like your spiritual practice.
That's a nice way to put it. I know. But yes, I think also joy is the lubricant to get through all the shit you got to get through. Because as a human, man, you're not going to get out of this alive, and you're going to get beat up all along the way. So, yeah, and we'll take it personally because it is. They're beating you up, but it really isn't personal. Yeah.
That's
So what? Go ahead,
my
Greg.
sister is a very devout Christian, but her and her husband are Christian in a very real, heartfelt manner. And what you just said about you're going to get beat up every day enjoys the lubricant through it. She says a very similar thing in a sense, like this life isn't the life divinity intended for us.
Yeah.
And to traverse it is, as you say, joy and love.
All right.
The two things to keep focused on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the one thing I learned as I get older is that none of us have the right to tell anybody else how to live, because we're all struggling. We don't know what the fuck to do. None of us.
Maybe selling Teslas on the White House lawn is a good idea.
Talk about an infomercial.
Oh my God. If I didn't know better, I would say I just watched a Doonesbury live show.
Oh gosh, but it's right. We go to these experts to tell us how to live our life or whatever, and they don't know what to do with their own life. And the problem is, I think particularly when we get those 5 steps to success or whatever, it's not going to work for everybody. You can't. And what worked for somebody probably won't work for you because we're all so different. And you can't. And then when I feel that that's bad, because when step number 3 you fail, then you'll just blame that guy who told you to do it and not taking apart why it happened. See, if it's your own step 3 that failed, you'll figure it out why. What the fuck happened? But you have somebody else to blame and not you.
This is a brilliant insight, because we so often don't take the responsibility for our own outcomes. That's one of the most pivotal steps in the process.
Absolutely.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was wondering, Matthew, if you see part of your business is being in people's corner, encouraging them to keep at it. Because part of what you just said is there's that razor's edge of everyone's fucked up and doesn't really know what they're doing. And yet you're in the world as an authority of resources for finances.
Right. No, that's nice to hear. And as you say that, I don't think I'm only somebody on the street, customer. There's just something in me that feels possessed to, hey, tell me what's wrong. I can give you 3 phone numbers right now. May be able to help you. And that I feel is like a superpower that I feel responsible, to give people if that could help. And I think part of it is what you're saying is that someone pays attention, and that's what it's all about. I remember raising kids that, you can't tell them to go to their room and study, but you sit next to them for a couple hours. That's what they want, is attention.
Or you could do what my dad did and stood over me with a baseball bat while I did my
Oh, that's why you're so smart.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's why he's so thick-headed anyway. The other issue is these things. Do you have one of these?
Yeah. Well, I think they're the key to the information explosion. We get so much information now that Google is a hazard, because Google is just there to sell you stuff. So the stuff that, I have another chart. I hope you guys are taking notes, because I'm going to have a test later.
Well, we're recording,
We'll be watching
so we'll just
this
review
again.
I don't know. I lost that. But there's 40% of our economy gives away money. 40%. And that's the community economy. That's government offices and nonprofit organizations. Okay. They give away money and free services. 60% is capitalism. So we have 40% of community helping each other, sort of like your house is on fire or the firemen come over and they don't ask for your credit card, but they put out the fire, right? So they do all this stuff for free. So we have so much of an infrastructure like that for anything, starting a business, buying a house. And we have all these community things that help you do all these things that people don't know about. But they go to Google, and that's 60%. And you're missing the best 40%, because everybody there just wants your money. And when you call them, then you say, I don't have any money, so I can't do what I want to do. You can. You're looking at the wrong places. Yeah.
Does ChatGPT help you find that 40%?
Yes, because you could go to ChatGPT, and if you put in, okay, you want to buy a house, and I don't know where you are in California. So put it, looking for, so you met, the only people that give out grants are nonprofit organizations and government offices. Nobody gives out grants in company. Well, we do, but that's a little aside. But the real ones are nonprofit or government office. So you could go to ChatGPT or any of them and say, give me a listing of programs. You could say, I usually do like 50 programs in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania that will help me buy a house. And then put in from government or nonprofit organizations. You'll get them exactly that.
Wow.
And because I know them all and I do this all the time. Yeah, that's what I love about that. But, I think what's going to happen when that gets more and more popular, they're going to be selling ads, aren't they?
Or it'll be behind a paywall.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so ChatGPT is currently spitting out a list for podcast success in our area.
In Marin County?
Yeah.
Okay, now you have to put out, it depends on what you want. You want help from nonprofit and government offices. But actually the SBA office is what you should do. And I'd call a few of those.
You know what? You just reminded me, Matthew. There was a point early on when we put this together that we thought trademarking our brand, Moped Outlaws, and the logo was a good idea, because I saw friends of mine who had a gym lose their brand to someone. Yeah. Someone wrote it like 3 years after they had started and came to them and said, you got to stop. And there was a nonprofit legal entity that helped people in the arts, and we consider this an art, creative. But I didn't get anywhere because it was so difficult to communicate what we needed, and I kept being put on these email threads of disinformation or information that wasn't relevant.
I would think what do you want to do is not copyright, a trademark.
Trademark. That's what it was, trademark.
But see, the people at the SBA thing, they'll help you do that. Yeah.
Okay.
But on the other thing, I would say I wouldn't worry about it.
Right.
Because what you have to do is first create. We have so many ways to pretend we're in business that have nothing to do with your success in business. Yeah. Like success in any business is getting a customer. So you got to figure that out first. Yeah. So you'll get the legal help, you get the LLC, you get all this kind of stuff, and you still have a customer, no money coming in. So you do that first, and then if you see some light there, then you could cover your ass. And you don't even do anything with the IRS or city, county, whatever. Forget it. It's going to take you 3 years. Oh, you've been around for 3 years. It'll take you years to find
we haven't been visually available monetarily to people, so we can make that happen. It's coming. So, but the thing about this conversation is that those of you who are listening to us, all 12 of you, are going to be able to translate this for yourself. Like the whole idea that you're somehow trapped or can't or unable, we invite you in this moment to lean in with your heart and dissolve that fear-based reality and become a beacon of the thing that makes you uniquely you. Right. We need you.
Right, exactly. The world needs, what's weird about all of us, because we got so much, everybody pretending they're just like everybody else. We don't need any more of that. and we all have something special. And then that's what grows. So when you find that, then that's able to grow, and then you have to find the right pot. Like if you're a gardener, you have plants that they have to be in the right pot to grow.
And there's a whole TV industry built around women who argue with each other.
Right.
Maybe
there's all the evidence you need.
That's our new podcast: women who argue with each other.
That's not ours, because that's not going to work. That's somebody else's, but we'll find ours.
I'll dress in drag if it brings the income.
Exactly.
Not me. I draw the line there.
Oh, there will be the odd couple.
Okay.
Oh, the G
Can be with that. So you said rock bands. You like to have rock bands. Like, what are some of the rock bands that you love to listen to most? What were your go-to?
I don't.
No,
really?
Just the local bands that you have come to your party.
The rock and roll. Just got people moving and dancing and something real hard music. And
it's the same for musicians. This same idea, because there's how can everybody be the Stones or be Lady Gaga? You can't, but you can be yourself.
Absolutely. And if their heart's in it, and it's fun to see. I mean, I love artists because they're so lucky. They know what they have to do. The rest of us, we can't play music. We can't do all the no. But we all are artists at something. So we have to find out what that art is. And then they have to play rock and roll band, even they're on the D list, because they just have to do this in life, right? And that's the joy of life. You have to find the things that you really want to do, whether you get paid or not, and then figure out how do we get paid for it too. And that's why the only thing I saw growing up were artists, singers, dancers, these things, people on TV. I never knew, I could be a researcher artist or whatever.
Well, also, I would say, Matthew, just looking at you and then the mirrors reflecting the background of your living space.
Right.
And part of what I see is the physicality of your joy and open heart. It's colorful, it's inviting, it's joyful. I'm uplifted in your presence.
Well, I mean, I walk down the street like this every day. Even when I jog or run, exercise or whatever, it's all cartoon stuff. And the biggest joy to me is people look at me and smile. They don't know my work or anything like that, but they smile. And that to me also is just almost like an obligation. Man, I can make somebody smile by just doing what I enjoy doing. I mean, that is a wonderful gift. I'm going to show you some other stuff here. Maybe if I could get this AI thing to work.
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah. No, not my screen. The apartment.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
See the whole.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is beautiful. I love that.
That's a little hallway. And we put that. Then there's something else.
For the radio audience, he's turning his camera to the right and left, and we just
jump to YouTube.
Porthole.
You do love cartoons,
Right? And there's a button there you could press that Porky Pig goes. That's all, folks.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Okay, well then you must know
What?
that this weekend there's a feature film, a Looney Tunes feature film that's launching today.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a. Wow. So if you don't know about this, go to your Google or wherever you want to go to find movies and go see the brand new full-length feature Looney Tunes cartoon that launches today. Now, for those of you listening later, this is March 14th to us.
Right.
You'll probably be hearing this later, and you can go to your digital channel and see it, or hopefully.
Matthew, have you and your wife ever gone to Toontown at Disneyland?
Don't think so. Maybe I was earlier or something.
Okay.
Town, there's cartoons there.
Yeah, they do a very good job of creating a very cartoon-like environment that's interactive. There's a TNT handle that you can push down and it blows up a building. A lot of fun stuff.
Now, I remember somebody, when doing talk shows, somebody said, "Oh, you look like a cartoon cell." The people who draw that.
Well, I keep looking at your eyeglasses, and it's amazing to me how they look like they are animated.
Part of a comic. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cheap from China. I can tell you.
Well,
But the style and intention, if you have that in your heart, you'll end up finding the things, right? Right. And if blue nails and blue hair and black clothes and heavy mascara is your thing, then that's what you'll find. You'll find your goth way of being, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do in addition? Because you just said you're not making a ton of dough here, right?
Well, Greg's a film producer.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
And a graphic editor,
a
film editor, as well as a somewhat of a graphic editor.
Mark's a Jedi Knight.
That's for the hat is a
Yeah, this is actually the Rebel Alliance symbol I am wearing on my hat. Yes, and I am a Jedi Knight. I appeared in a Star Wars film as a Jedi Knight, but I don't get any money from that, so that's not how I make my living. But
he is a coach to and entrepreneurs and mostly with men who are very successful in the business world and have lost their personal connections, and he helps them to get in touch with their heart and how to be masculine in a positive manner.
Right.
Thank you for that, Greg.
Welcome.
I love that we can speak about each other's things that we do. That's really important, because I hate telling people.
No, and you don't know, and then you'll say it in ways that is more digestible or something.
Right, and then you're dumbing it down.
Exactly.
My favorite way of describing what I do is I'm a transformation agent provocateur.
Holy shit! You gotta know how to spell all that.
I have trouble with the
provocateur
part. I do. I have trouble with the provocateur part, but it's a UER at the end. I know that much.
No, I mean, all the help now we have with coaches. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, there was never this kind of thing earlier, and that's, I think, part of the loneliness thing, that we're all struggling so much without community. You know?
Yeah. Have you noticed a change in just the past 3 months with Doge now being very prominent in the federal realm?
Oh shit, yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I live in Washington. I mean, now everybody's getting fired. The building, there's so many people, and I send out email. Okay, here's where to go and what to do to, get more money while you lost your job, or what to do and stuff like that. But more importantly, in my work, what happens when people like this come in and do something? Everybody thinks the government's gone. Oh, I can't apply for anything. Oh shit! I mean, he's nibbling around the edges and making more noise than, but he's hurting people. But for the programs people need to get ahead, they're not affected at all.
Okay.
But what he affects more is long range. So, particularly in the next year or two, not a whole lot will change. But what he's doing now can change years from now.
So in your experience and expertise, you believe that a couple years from now is when the real impact will be felt.
Right.
Are there things you would recommend for an individual to be ready for these large changes?
No, because people have to solve their problems now. You're going to have different problems in 3 years, so worry about it then.
Okay.
It's the same thing as loneliness and community are the big solutions.
Exactly.
If we can solve community, like even in the most dire times, what we find is having someone to sit and have tea with can soothe so much of it.
Absolutely. Oh, and I remember the way I learned about these programs was my family was in a flood. It wiped out the business and the whole city and everything in northeastern Pennsylvania. And we went out there, and what was so neat about everybody, no matter what income, was devastated. So we hang out at bars at the end of the night, shoveling your house or whatever. And it was such a community because it wasn't just the poor people or just the rich.
Looks like your AI has a mind of its own.
That's a AI,
Anomaly.
Right. Well, no, when I move my hands, then it's think, oh, he's leaving. I better watch them. I don't know what that's AI cameras are terrible.
You have said you have a wife. I don't know if she's still with us or.
You're
That's her. Okay.
Did she hear that Greg asked the question?
right.
and children. So you have a family.
Yeah.
How did your family do with this transformation you created of yourself?
Well, family. I mean, I had 2 wives before, so you're talking about the current wife, right? So I was sort of like different in the other 2. I was still struggling about what I was, and my kids didn't know any different. The problem was, see, my cars had question marks on them and everything. Problem when they're going through middle school, they didn't want me to pick them up in my car. or at 3rd grade, I went to talk to one of them in the classes, and he said, "Dad, I'm going to do this if you're going over the top too much."
In 3rd grade, that's brilliant.
What does he do now?
Did that person go on to be a director in life?
No, he does. He's doing very well. He went out to be a lawyer, and he was chief of staff for the Surgeon General, and now they're working on a loneliness project. So the Surgeon General thinks this is the past one, not the new guy. This is the most important. There goes it's starting to take a walk and leaving me behind. Yeah, so they're working on a big loneliness project for our country. Yeah. The other guy's out in the middle of the woods somewhere. He's a sort of hippie and an IT guy, and a little
counterculturalist.
That's So he doesn't like urban life and wants to stay away from people. But he's cool. I mean, do you guys know Burning Man?
Yeah.
Okay, here's my street cred for him. He wrote the app for Burning Man on how to find your friend.
Wow.
Burning it. So he's an app guy and an IT guy. He just had a child. He's like 40 something. The other guy's about 43 years younger. He's about 2-3 hours away from us. The other one is just like 20 minutes walk with 3 kids. Just had a 3rd one. And I think 2 of them are coming over tonight. And they're great because they're like 1 and 4 or something like that. They laugh at anything. Adults, I'm a little boring for them. Yeah.
That would surprise me. I think a 1 and 4-year-old would be entranced by.
Yeah. Oh God, they just can't get over there. It's fun. Do something funny. They call me popcorn.
I love it. That's brilliant.
Speaking of which, if you go to the movies, what popcorn do you like? How do you have your popcorn?
Plain. I don't love the butter, but I know, I'm a fat guy inside. I mean, I'm a short, fat kid my most life, and I'm still that in my head. Even though you look at me, you see Dachau, but I'm still a short, fat kid.
And is that because you watch everything you eat properly, and that's how you made it to 80?
Only just not to gain weight. I could just gain weight. Like everything is instant Lesko if I put it in my mouth. So I have to fight that. So I exercise. I've been running for 6 miles a day for about 45 years or something like that. Just last couple of years, I had to stop running, and that really worked for me. But I was tripping. My muscles were fine, my bones were fine, but my brain doesn't act fast enough. And you shuffle a little more, so stuff like that.
So are you walking now? Is that what you do now?
I do, but that takes so fucking long to do 6 miles. Like a half day. So now I go to the gym and do some ellipse things or whatever.
All right.
Nice. As we start to wind this down, are there any things that you wanted to share with our audience that we haven't discussed yet?
Well, I think let me give them a few places to start. Okay. one of the best things to do without going to Google, first of all, never go to Google unless you have money. But go to a website called findhelp.org. Can you guys go on? Anybody? Can you do that?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Greg, do you want to handle that?
Okay.
We're going to go to findhelp.org and then share the screen, right? Present the screen.
Help.
I just want to...
org. And then share the screen.
It's under the present button between settings and invite. He's doing it, ladies and gentlemen. I can see the look in his eyes. For those of you at home, here we go.
So now I'm going to put in
your zip code.
Whoops. I'm dyslexic, I guess.
That's how we're all fucked up.
Search.
All right.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. 3,000 programs.
112 nonprofit organizations and government offices that give you money.
Wow.
See, I mean, look at all the tabs on top.
Yeah, that's crazy. Help pay for internet. There's 11. Help pay for housing, 104.
Right.
Help pay for gas.
Right, exactly. See?
That's crazy.
I know. It's like put up on top there, and there's a little search bar. Like put up rent.
Okay, wait. Now I have to go back to.
Oh, we have to undo. Are we past that?
No, hold on. It just takes me. There we go.
Okay. Okay. Up there in the left on top, see a little search bar?
Yep.
So you put in what you want, but like financial assistance. You lied, huh?
There we go.
Well, what's the number of people there? 300 and what?
So
302.
Yeah.
For those of you who are just listening, we've just done a search on a web page, and Greg found 302 different ways to receive financial assistance from his zip code area.
Right.
Yeah. So this is findhelp.org. Really simple.
I know. That's what I mean. I don't know why I have to keep doing this. It gives me something to keep me on the street. So that's important to know. I think for anything, you could start there. There's another one I like is careeronestop.org.
Careeronestop.org. So do you find that when doing this, going to a .org is more beneficial than a .com?
Oh, shit, yeah. I mean, first of all, it's going to be somebody who gives away money. The .coms are somebody who want to get your money.
Okay.
They're selling you something. So that's why you want a .org or .gov. They're the only people that give money. So here, you find a local source. I mean, this is every county has these offices, and you put your zip code in there, and you make an appointment with them. This is if you looking for a job or want to get training for something, and as a business. So if you, as a podcast multimedia organization, want to hire somebody and train them in something, you could get grant money here to train your employees. You could get grant money here to hire new employees too. So it's all about workforce development and getting people better jobs and training them for that, and businesses keeping competitive and having new skills to compete in the world. So that's what's there. So that's what anybody looking for work and things like that is what you want to do. And Find Help, you could go there too and put a lot of job training there. But the other one I really like is Needy Meds, Needy MEDS.
Wait, Needy Meds?
Right.
.org?
Org, yes. Okay, now you see the second tab on the left. That one.
Healthcare savings tab.
Right. So the first on the left there is all about getting prescription drugs for free. Now, this isn't the stuff you get in the schoolyard. These are prescription drugs for free. And then below that, you see
Dental clinics.
Dental clinics, free and low cost mental clinics and dental clinics, and even mental health clinics.
Yeah.
So you click on that and put in your state, maybe dental. Okay. Okay. Okay.
There's a postal code here.
Right.
And I put in dental because that seems to be the most challenging one.
You bet.
Oh, wow.
So how many
quite a few came up?
Right. So in your zip code, there's all those free and low cost dental clinics, and you'll never find them. Oh, what do we have?
And look, it accepts uninsured people, all income levels accepted.
Right.
English and Spanish. I'm familiar with this clinic. This is the Marin Community Clinic, and I've been with them for over a decade. It's the best healthcare I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
And it's for low-income people. It's amazing.
See,
there's a little plug for Marin Community Health Clinics.
Yeah, it's trying to educate people what we have, just because you live in this country, and everybody can use it. And unfortunately, I feel that the rich people know about this very much, and the people really need it have no idea how to use it.
You just touched on one other element about wealth that I think us poor people don't understand. And one of my very wealthy friends said, it's easy to acquire money. Keeping it is the challenge.
Yes.
And I remember a gentleman who owned a restaurant I worked at, and he was a multi-millionaire. And he used to yell at us about the ice that would drop to the floor. He'd say, these are like diamonds. I'd be like, what, are you crazy? It's ice. But I think it's that train of thought that every penny counts.
It does and it doesn't, of course. Well, it's too bad.
I think you want to put joy at the forefront of everything.
Exactly.
And if you're losing your joy by keeping the ice off the floor, then
no, we all want to beat up other people because they're not like us. To me, love is helping someone else do whatever they want to do.
I love that.
Wow.
That's why we're here. Telling people what to do. Tell me what you want to do. If I love you, I should be helping you do. You want my opinion? I think it's an asshole, but okay, you want to do it? Who am I to say? And I'll help you do that. And I find, at least I grew up in families that we told each other how to live. That was what breakfast and dinner tables were. Whatever he was doing wrong, as opposed to helping people do what they want to do. God, we're so different, but we don't realize it.
God, and there the struggle, like I know some people who are in such a state of depression that they don't know what they want to do.
Exactly. And that's what keeps them, and that's why you don't have to know. The only thing you have to know is what you're doing now is wrong. That's all. Right. Yeah. Anything above that is great. You don't know. You're not going to know what perfect is. You build perfect as you're doing shit. And that sort of evolves somehow. You can't finish a painting knowing what it's going to look like. You have to put some paint on the paper and see what that does, and it does something else. And like you editing. I have an idea about something. Oh, you did this. That made you think of something else, and that's what our life is. So it's all art. So we have to build it. And I think the only thing you have to know for sure of what you're doing now is not it. It doesn't. You have to take any step as long as it's away from that. You don't have to wait for perfect because it'll never come. You build perfect.
Well, we have a final question that we ask all our guests.
Oh my God.
And sometimes the relevance of the question is quite off brand of what the whole hangout has been, but here it is.
Okay.
Mark, do you want to ask?
Yeah. Eminem or Foo Fighters?
I know Eminem. I don't know Foo Fighters. I know of them, but yeah.
Understood. Any reason why?
Well, I used to do a lot of media in Detroit, and he's a 10-mile road up there. It was very popular up there.
Yeah. One of our secret wishes after we ask this question is we'd like to see them do something together.
What's that? Oh, Eminem.
We'd like Eminem and the Foo Fighters do something together.
I see. Oh, cool.
What a pleasure to spend time with you. I feel so much more joyful now than when we started. And I'm really grateful for your generosity of spirit.
Well, thank you for saying that. That means a lot. I try to brush it off because the nuns told me to do that. When you get
take it into your heart.
Let it land.
It's tattooed in there. No, and it's great. I mean, this is a wonderful conversation to have, to talk about real stuff. Everybody wants to talk about, who won the game or some shit like that.
Who did win the game?
and how we struggle through life, I think, is the most important thing to share.
Yeah, the game I'm playing is how can I be more like Harpo Marx?
Then
for the first answer is shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's great. Well, now where was the bad part? You say there's going to be bad shit. What was the bad stuff?
Oh, we never said it was bad. We just said we follow wherever we want to go, and sometimes that gets uncomfortable for people.
I see. Okay.
We live in a day and age where we have to have the fine print read out loud. We may piss you off. Sorry.
Right.
Well, plus it's a kind of psychological technique. When you say that up front to people, then they're actually willing to be much broader and have more depth about what they talk about, because it sort of sets them up for this idea of, well, I want to have broader edges. I want to have a deeper conversation. And if there's anything about this podcast, aside from how good Greg and I look, that's going to be the thing, then it's our willingness to go to places with people that find the deepest parts of humanity and the idea of how we can all live better. And you certainly delivered on that, Matthew, within spades, or in this case, multicolored extravaganzas.
Well, thank you so much. It's fun. That's why sitting on the beach, this is better than that. Playing shitty golf. I grew up. You retired and go to Florida and play golf. Well, you're a shitty golfer. Why do you want to do something you're shitty for the rest of your life?
You can play miniature golf with a clown nose on and have way more fun.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
With their grandchildren.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you again so much, and we're out.
Recording stopped.